Yes, last week was all about Venus, but this week is all about Mars. The 3 exact transits happening this week are all Mars transits. And remember, it's Aries season. Mars is the planet that rules the sign of Aries, so those Mars-Aries vibes are really going to be turned up to 11 this week. This invites us to engage with Mars concepts, right? To get really embodied and physically grounded, to reflect on our desires, our drive, our will, our motivations, to consider our behavior, to take action to protect what we love and to fight for what we believe in. Mars is the planet of courage, but what that also means is that it's the planet of fear, because fear is what gives meaning to courage and allows it to even exist, right? So that is the question for this week. What are you afraid of? How is that holding you back from taking action and going after what you want? And how can we tap into our bravery, face our fears, and do it scared, do it anyway? Last week was all about relationships with all those Venusian transits, right? So let's remember this Mars-heavy week that we are stronger together, that we can draw courage from and lean on each other. If you're paralyzed by fear, borrow some bravery from a friend, a loved one, a comrade. Hold someone's hand, whether figuratively or literally, as you face that scary thing, because the gods know the world is full of them right now. The unavoidable truth is that a huge collective transformation is underway, and now is the time to be brave, to take action, to actively shape the future that we want to live in. And I'm telling myself this too, of course. We weren't born into this era to be passive observers or consumers. We're here to be warriors because that is what the circumstances require. Don't underestimate the power of human will, even in just one individual, let alone a group, a society, or the whole collective of humanity. We have the power to make history now in a good way, but only if we choose to do so, and Mars is the planet that governs those choices. All that said, let's get into the details of this week in the stars. There are no exact transits today, Monday, April 6th, or tomorrow, Tuesday the 7th. But of course, I'll say that doesn't mean that nothing is happening, right? What I'm telling you about are the exact peaks of these transits, but they do occur over longer stretches of time. They build up to that peak and then they fade out. There is always something happening astrologically in the background in those deep undercurrents. There's always the solar season, the current lunar cycle, those slow-moving outer planet transits, right? Not to mention the way that the astrology is hitting your individual birth chart, meaning that something really huge might be happening for you right now, even if it's a quiet day in the news, so to speak. But speaking of the news, there is some collectively on Wednesday, April 8th. First of all, the moon will leave adventurous, philosophic, resilient Sagittarius, where it's been since Sunday, and enter the hardworking, solitary, mature sign of Capricorn here on Wednesday morning. And then we'll have our first Mars transit of the week, with Mars forming a sextile to Uranus from 29 degrees of Pisces to 29 degrees of Taurus. Now, Mars and Uranus have a lot in common. Both of these planets love to be free and independent and do whatever the fuck they want. So this sextile has the power to stimulate liberation, first and foremost. A transit like this can have a very impulsive and unpredictable energy, so it is important to stay grounded and connected to the intuition of Pisces and the instinct of Taurus, helping us out here. And if we look at where these two planets are right now, they're both at the last degree of their respective signs. Uranus is about to enter Gemini in less than 2 weeks now, which is a huge event since it'll be there for about 7 years. And trust and believe this Gemini rising is going to tell you all about that when the time comes, okay? But for now, Uranus is at the tail end of its journey through Taurus, shaking up our values, our physical experience of the world, our relationship to nature and the land, transforming traditions and conventions, rocking our sense of stability and security to the very fucking core, right? Mars, meanwhile, is at the fishtail end of Pisces, the last degree of the whole entire zodiac, carrying the wisdom of that whole long journey. So these two planets right now are ready for transformation. They're both on the precipice of a big shift. And while this sextile is occurring between a water sign and an earth sign, the change we'll see on Wednesday is of an emotional and a material nature. Maybe you're ready to let go of some baggage that's been weighing you down, whether physically or spiritually. When Mars contacts Uranus like this, we get a boost of energy and courage to be our true, authentic selves, to freely think for ourselves, to continue deconditioning and deprogramming from the toxic overculture, to rebel, to invent a new and better way to act on it and to move forward. So on Wednesday, I want you to focus on truly being yourself, as weird as you are or as basic as you might be. Whatever it is, authenticity is the key, and then acting on whatever you discover. Moving on here to Thursday, April 9th, Mars will on this day finally complete its lap around the zodiac and enter the sign of Aries. And this is big for two reasons. First of all, as I've said before, going from the last sign of Pisces to the first sign of Aries is like dying and being reborn. It's always a notable event. And secondly, Mars is the planet that rules Aries, so it's now returning to its home sign and joining the Sun, Chiron, Saturn, and Neptune that are already there. So it's kind of like a party has been going on at Mars's house, but the host got delayed in a traffic jam and is late on their way there. But now they're home, they finally arrived at their own rager. They can unlock the liquor cabinets, get the orgy started, and make sure everyone knows where the bathrooms are. What I'm trying to say is that Mars can tap into more of the energy and potential of the sign of Aries to take action, to take risks. This is a powerful time to access our drive to survive and thrive in this wild world, to get a boost of courage and passion, of assertiveness and empowerment, or at least of a fuck it kind of energy that can be helpful if used wisely, of course. Having Mars, the god of war, in Aries, the sign of the warrior, could amplify conflict, whether globally or interpersonally. Not that we need any more of that right now, but that's just how it is. So this Mars-heavy week is an important time for us to consider our relationship to rage. We're all feeling it, or we all should be, unless you're totally numbed out and checked out from what's happening, in which case, what are you doing? Why are you here? And also good luck keeping that up when Mars shifts from Pisces into Aries. There's a good chance that this anger, this constant feeling of crisis and urgency and stress and irritation and frustration is taking a real toll on you and therefore on your relationships. We have to have outlets for our anger so that it doesn't bubble up in unexpected, undesirable places, right? That might be something personally healthy, like moving your body. It might be something socially constructive, like pouring your energy into organizing and activism, or whatever it may be. That energy needs to get vented because bottling it up will only cause problems now and delay that explosion until later down the road. You might be afraid of your own anger, of yourself, of your own emotions, and not being able to control them when you express them. So this week, particularly, and the next few weeks while Mars is in Aries, is a powerful time to work with that energy and that fear, so that you're not disempowering yourself by cutting yourself off from your internal power source, which of course is what they want. So don't let them do that to you. Then on Friday, April 10th, the moon moves into the authentic, innovative, revolutionary sign of Aquarius. There are no transits of note on Saturday, April 11th, but once again, we are ending this week on a challenging note because late on the evening of Sunday, April 12th, Mars will be conjunct Neptune at about 2.5 degrees of Aries. This will actually be very early in the morning of next Monday for those of y'all on the East Coast. Now, as we've discussed, Mars is this very physical, fiery, driven kind of energy, right? But Neptune is the opposite. It's ethereal, dreamy, misty, boundless, transcendent. So when the two come together, it's a fucking confusing mix. It's like trying to see through a steam cloud. It can obscure your vision and also burn you. Have you ever gotten a steam burn? They're fucking gnarly. So on Sunday, you might feel really unclear on your motivations. You might feel uncomfortable in your body, unsettled, ungrounded, and anxious. So this is a helpful day to focus on ways to center yourself, to work with embodiment, and just to have patience as you and everybody else sits and tries to navigate those challenging feelings and sensations that are coming up. Now, with Mars meeting up with spiritual Neptune, this transit brings the potential for more religiously motivated conflict. Of course, that's already running rampant these days, and unfortunately, it might be even further amplified by this energy. But we also have the choice to use this transit in a better way. As we turn our Mars courage towards Neptune, we can be more motivated by our compassion and empathy for others. We can be driven into action by our dreams and creative visions for future possibilities. As we feel how interconnected we are with all beings on this earth, we can fight for our collective surviving and thriving. And even though religion has tried so hard to ruin spirituality for us, don't forget how much strength and courage you can draw from your spiritual life and practice, from your connection to the cosmos and universal love. So that's it for your weekly astrological weather report. I'm Alice Pope. Logan, back to you.